Here it is. This is the headline that they posted. Baldur's Gate was a huge leap forward for RPGs. Starfield feels like a stumbling step back. Let's read the article, to be fair. They definitely changed that headline, though. Let's read it, though. Let's see what they have to say and hear them out, okay? And then I'll speak, okay? When The Outer Worlds was first announced in 2017, I was super excited. A new Fallout-like game from the studio behind all-time classic New Vegas. What a pitch! But when we all got to play it 2 years later, the experience was muted. And I ended up putting barely a few hours into it before realizing I just didn't care enough to continue. It wasn't that it was a bad game, but it wasn't a very innovative one. And that meant its timing couldn't be worse. Because just 10 days earlier, Disco Elysium had arrived. Absolutely blown the doors off the RPG genre. As Fraser noted at the time, Outer Worlds could only seem limp by comparison. Now I'm getting the exact same feeling playing Starfield right after Baldur's Gate 3. BG3 is the kind of RPG you dreamed was possible as a kid. A rich fantasy adventure with the freedom of a D&D campaign. It feels like you can be whoever you want to be and do whatever you want to do, and the world will always be one step ahead of you with a clever and surprising reaction. On the face of it, Starfield's pitch is even more the stuff of a childhood dream. An RPG where you can jump in a spaceship, fly anywhere in the galaxy, and set foot on hundreds of different planets. A hugely ambitious prospect, but if any studio has the resources and the experience to make something so enormous, it should be Bethesda. What we've got in Starfield, however, is an oddly bland and compromised version of the idea. And where Baldur's Gate 3 is a huge step forward, Starfield feels deeply stuck in the genre's past. Okay, we're going to end it there, because I think it's going to get into, spoilers. So, let's talk about it. Here's what I think. Okay, I think that we, as gamers, as audience members, as people in general, consuming an entertainment medium. Okay, this is what I think. I think we need to stop trying to compare two different games that have pretty much nothing to do with each other to each other. Okay? They're made by two different studios. They have two different objectives. They have two different concepts. They have two different storylines, two different characters. You could go on and on and on and on, okay? Yes, they are both RPGs. No, they are not the same. And this is the problem, right? When people look at genres, they think, oh, because this is the genre of this game, the other one must be the same. So, I'm going to apply my criticism to both. And the thing is, with games, it doesn't really work like that. Because here's the thing. The production timeline is completely different when it comes to Starfield and when it comes to Baldur's Gate. It's completely different. It's not the same thing. And pretending that it is or thinking that it is the same thing is flawed logic. It is so flawed. Because here's the thing, okay? Something that people might not know is that Starfield has been in production since 2011, okay? We know this because you just look at the timeline, okay? Starfield was a rumor ever since Skyrim, okay? The thing is, they didn't have the resources to make it. So, it had to wait. But it still existed. The idea, the concept, it still existed. They were waiting for the technology to release so that we, as the audience, could play it on better graphics, essentially. Okay? I'm trying to have some sort of background. Sorry, guys. I know that might be a little bit distracting. I probably should have figured that one out before. Anyways, it's just better this way. Okay. So, here's the thing, right? These are two different studios. These are not the same studios. These are two different games. They are not the same games. They're not the same concept. They're not. To try to compare a game that has a different concept to another, different objectives to another, is so stupid. Because they're different games. Okay? Of course, they're going to accomplish different things. The thing that I've noticed about, like, modern day, like, games at this point is that they look too similar to each other. Down to the graphics, because they all use the same engine, down to everything else. They all look very similar. But that doesn't mean that they play similar. But the thing is that you can't take a studio that has a different style of gameplay and blame them for doing what they've done for years. And it's worked. And pretending that Starfield is somehow this big disappointment, this, like, big disaster, when it's not, is just trying to reach for a clickbait article. And I do think this is clickbait. Because there is no logic as to where you would take Baldur's Gate 3 and say that it has to be the same as Starfield. You said you tell people that they're gonna look at you like you're crazy, because they are so different games. That'd be like saying that Halo has to be the same as Call of Duty. Okay, and I know that's not necessarily what they're saying. They're saying that because Baldur's Gate 3 relies on consequences and reaction, that if Starfield doesn't have that same ideas, it is a step back. And here's the thing, okay? They are different. Here's how they're different. Baldur's Gate 3 has the single objective of replicating the D&D experience. With that experience, you will have consequences, you will have reactions, you will have the whole role-playing experience. That is a tabletop game, okay? It is replicating what you experience with a tabletop group. Starfield is not that, because it is not that genre and is not supposed to be that genre. Baldur's Gate 3 is a turn-based game because it is replicating the D&D experience. Starfield is an open-world RPG. It means you can go wherever you want, whenever you want, and the story isn't told for you. Now, they do have a story, And the thing about that story is that you have to make some sacrifices in order for that story to make sense for all types of characters. With Baldur's Gate 3, yes, there are variants of characters that you can make. However, they are all pretty much the same. Because they're following the same conquest, they are following the same missions, the same storyline, everything is the same. So therefore, you can then predict how certain people will react because you limit the amount of choices that they have in the beginning. And you are able to build this cause and effect. Oh, if I make a deal with the devil, then things are going to go badly, okay? Like, you have those different types of characters. And you can do that. But with Starfield, as much as Baldur's Gate has so many different types of characters, Starfield has even more. And the thing about it, right, is that Starfield is designed to be a moddable game. Baldur's Gate 3 is as well, but not to the extent of Starfield. Starfield is designed as basically like a sandbox type game where you can make it what you want, okay? You don't have to follow the main story. You don't even have to touch the main story at all. With Baldur's Gate 3, you have to touch the main story. You have to go along with the main storyline in order to get to certain objectives, get to certain places. Like, you have to do certain things at a time. Starfield is not like that. You can go to the end of the galaxy, even though it says that you should only be level 40, you can go there at level 10. Because that is the Starfield way. That is the Bethesda way. The idea of Bethesda is that you can make the experience however you want, no matter what. It is not the idea that you will always see the reaction and the consequences and what happens. To say that Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield are supposed to feel the same, or are supposed to go the same direction, that are supposed to have the same consequences, the same type of moral system. And there is a system in Starfield, by the way. There is. It's just, here's the thing. With Baldur's Gate 3, it is a story-driven game. Like, it is a story-packed game that has an objective at the end. It has an ending, right? It has an ending. Starfield has no ending, okay? Baldur's Gate 3 has a series of endings that you can get in order to finish off the game. And based on the actions that you chose to do, you end up with one of those endings. It is kind of like The Witcher 3. If you want to give a comparison, it's like a Witcher 3. Where yes, Witcher 3 is open world to an extent, it does have an ending. Starfield, as everybody knows, Elder Scrolls games, Fallout games, have no ending. There is no end to your gameplay. You can go on for so long and have the same character for so long, and you can do whatever you want. There's so much to do, so much to see, so many things to do, that you don't have to end the character at the end of the main story. And that is why you're not going to see consequences in the game. Yet you will. I mean, if you kill people, if you rob a store, you're gonna get like bounties and stuff like that. And you can build that up and you roleplay and you turn it into your own story. But what you're not gonna do is see, oh, I did this bad thing, and so five quest lines down the line, it's gonna show up. No, because the reaction times are different. If you do bad thing and the beginning of Baldur's Gate 3 that potentially snowballs into a bad branch in the second act, right? This is also very important to acknowledge, okay? Baldur's Gate 3 is separated into 3 acts, right? So not only does it have an ending, but it also has a point at which you are supposed to be at, and once you cross that point, there's a lot that opens up. There's a lot of stories that do get closed, and so on and so forth. So, because of that, they have to have kind of checkpoints. Oh, you're at the end of Act 2. So now we have to transition into, like, Baldur's Gate. And then you have Starfield that is not act-based. There is no acts in Starfield. There's no acts. There's no chapters. There's no episodes. There is free range. You can forget about Constellation and go over to the other side of the world, this other side of the galaxy, and do something completely different. You're not going to see those same consequences that you would see in Baldur's Gate 3. The other thing is that both games accomplish amazing feats, okay? Baldur's Gate 3 is by all means a masterpiece. It does exactly what it set out to do. It made a D&D experience that anyone can play, and it doesn't take forever, and like you can experience it like a D&D game, like you like a D&D campaign, right? You can get your whole group together, you can play together, and you can build this D&D experience that you can actually see and have it happen. Starfield has other amazing feats. It is 10 times, at least 10 times, the size of a normal RPG open world game. I would know because they made it. It is bigger than The Witcher 3. It is bigger than any other game out there. It is bigger than Mass Effect. It's bigger than everything. Okay? It is. Now, when you have a world that big, okay, there is a very easy way to make it feel empty. But it doesn't. Because you can go planet to planet, and even if there's nothing on it, there's still resources, there's still stuff for you to do on that planet. Right? Even if you think it's completely empty, it's not. There's things you can find, there's places you can go, there's resources that you can get. You could leave your follower or try to abandon your followers on those planets and drive off without them. It's like there are things that you can do that is not normal in an RPG game. Okay? And acting like it is this disaster, like it's, oh, this whole thing is a mess, and acting like it's not a phenomenal game is weird. If you don't like it, you don't have to like it. That's not what I'm saying. But to pretend like they have to be the same in order to both be great is completely absurd. And I would say that if you go about your life thinking, oh, this game is a step back because it's not like the other game, because it's not like a game that is completely different from the other. They are different. They are very different games. They have very different objectives. I think even the fact that Starfield is sci-fi, not fantasy, like if you're gonna make that sort of comparison, at the very least it should be towards like Elder Scrolls 6. Not Starfield. Starfield and Baldur's Gate 3 have nothing in common other than being RPGs. That's it. Okay? That would be like saying, oh, Final Fantasy 17 did this and Mass Effect didn't. Like, they are so different games that it doesn't even make any sense, and you look stupid. Like, it makes you look stupid. Because you're making a comparison that doesn't make any sense, and you're trying to create a divide between fandoms that doesn't even exist. People who love Baldur's Gate 3 also love Starfield. It's like it doesn't have to always be one or the other, and I hate that people have the mentality that it does. Okay? Like, if you have the mentality, oh, you always have to pick a side, that's so stupid. You're so dumb. It's like, what do you mean? It doesn't make any sense. Like, why would that be a thing? You said that, oh. Like, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. And I'm sorry if you guys think that it should be that way, but oh my god. It's just such a dumb thing to think. I don't know how you could be so stupid. Okay. That would be like saying that, like let's say, like, there's a romance movie, like, let's say it's like, you know, Notebook, and you say, oh, Notebook is such a masterpiece, but you know what? Princess Bride was so much better because it did X, Y, and Z, and it came out earlier. So, therefore, The Notebook has to be on the same level as Princess Bride. What? They're two different movies. What do you mean? This is the problem with society, is that they think that everything has to be their way. They think everything has to be the same. And if you thought that going into Starfield you would find all these consequences for your actions, then you don't know what Bethesda Studios is actually about. And it's so funny. Because, like, everyone who knows Bethesda and knows what their games are like loved Starfield. Still loves Starfield. It's like, everyone who got what they wanted from Starfield. And you're coming in trying to fit in with the cool kids, trying to be edgy, trying to be different from everyone else, and making an out-of-pocket comparison that doesn't make any sense and makes you look dumb. Like, it would be saying that Call of Duty and Battlefield have to be the same. They're two different games. They're two different storylines. Like, they're not the same thing. Like, just because they're FPS, just because they're the same genre, doesn't mean they have to be the same type of game. And they are fundamentally very different. So, that comparison should just not even exist. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree with me? Or are you on the opposing side? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think that comparing Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield is even justified? Comment down below. Let me know. Leave a like on this video. And subscribe for more content like this. Also, this was streamed live. So, follow me on Twitch as well. And maybe you can join in on these discussions and we can talk about it. And, you know, I love having these types of conversations because I just like being able to talk and not just have everything in my head. So, I appreciate you guys. But I'm going to get into Starfield now. Anyways, peace out, guys. It has been a blast. Let me switch over now.